Why did you say it was wrong? So welcome back to another video, and today it's another solar install. Now, we've not been doing many of these on the channel recently because we've been doing lots of other content, but the reason we're doing this one today is because we're here with the ACM. This is the REA and Enphase collaboration for the panel with the built-in microinverter. It's a 19 panel array. No, it's not, it's an 18 panel array split over 2 elevations, and it's got a GivEnergy all-in-one battery. We always seem to film this battery on our install videos. We do other batteries. We're gonna have lots of other Tesla content coming soon. Let's go and take a look in here and we'll take you around the install. So we're here, and here are our 2 elevations. Now, scaffolding is already up. All the panels are in the van there, those ACMs. We're going to come back to those a little bit in the video because I want to take you through what they are and why they are different. But right now we're going to go and check out the battery install, because this GivEnergy all-in-one battery is an AC coupled battery, and it's got the gateway, meaning it can go off grid. So why is that? It's a bit more complex. Let's go and check it out and we'll take you through how the guys are getting on. So there's 2.
Yes.
So one of them's
a battery.
Yeah.
And one of them's the solar.
Yeah, so these 2 here.
Yeah.
So one of these is going to go to the battery.
Yeah.
And the other one is the solar into there.
Well, yeah.
Why did you say it was wrong? Yeah, so you've got 2 strings.
Yes.
So you're going to combine them because you've only got one input for solar on here.
Exactly that.
So when I said
Battery and solar.
it's battery and solar,
correct.
but you said solar and battery. Right, okay.
Tomato, tomato.
You're making me lose my mind then. I was like, and back and forth, back again. Back over here. Right, so my mind's still a little bit blown from Jack saying that one cable was for the solar and one cable was for the battery, and I said one cable was for the battery and he said one cable was for the solar. But anyway, we're over that now. Like, what I'm going to do now is just take you through the run of the cables on this property. So the battery and the solar run down here. So they come in there, they're going to get clipped along this wall. Just watch out. We've also got some data cable. So you have data going to the gateway and the battery, and also to the Enphase CT to measure the grid supply. Our battery is going to be located there. So this is the GivEnergy all-in-one. That's the 13.5 kilowatt hour battery. Now, the reason we've got 2 armoured cables going from the gateway to the battery itself is because this is 2 arrays. So there is 9 panels on that roof, 9 panels on this roof. The GivEnergy all-in-one only has 1. So the reason we've got 2 cables going from the battery to the gateway is because the gateway is what measures the solar production for the GivEnergy app. So you need to therefore put the solar power through the gateway. So what we're gonna do is install a sub-mains here, put both PVs in, and then take a 6mm feed out to the gateway. So we've only got 1 input into that gateway. It'll make sense later on. It cost me 650 quid. But you can have it for free.
Thanks.
There you go. You got a deal out of us. Jack, sorry about that. So we were just talking about these cables at the front of the property because the client, when we got here, they're having some work done at this house. So they've got plasterers in at the moment, they're having it renovated, and we've got to get power from that gateway, that incoming supply, to this battery, because that's going to be the location of the battery and the sub-mains. That's where the client wants it. So we've got a challenge here because we've got to get cables from there to there. Now, it's all been replastered, so we can't get into the ceiling voids. There's no actual void at the front here to get into anyway. We've got a gas main coming into the property, so we don't want to start drilling down into this concrete. So what we've agreed with the client is they're going to build a step at the front of the property. They were going to do this anyway. So the reason the cables are here, because I know some people will be watching this and be like, don't really like that, is they're going to be cleated to the wall, and then there's going to be building a step on the front. So it's all going to be covered and you're not going to see it. We're actually fitting the GivEnergy charger here as well, so that's going to come up here and sit on the front of the garage, and they fell over. So that's the reason why. So this is the GivEnergy all-in-one battery. So you've probably seen these on the channel before, because every time we do an install video, it always seems to be a GivEnergy all-in-one. But we've laid it out here so we can show you how it works. So this is an AC coupled solution, meaning it's got an inverter at the top here, that converts AC to DC, because these are DC, and when the power is needed, it takes the DC, converts it to AC to power the home. So the top is the inverter. This is a 6 kilowatt inverter. That's the continuous power rating. It can do that continuously. And then you've got these drawers here that accept the storage. So it's 13.5 kilowatt hours of usable storage. I think it's 15.4 kilowatt hours of total capacity, but accessible capacity is 13.5. And essentially you wire this to the gateway. You can do it without the gateway if you want. You couldn't from launch, but in this instance, we have got the gateway. So you take a power feed and a comms feed from this to the gateway, and these battery cells I'll do this really gracefully, just sort of drop in. There you go, and you put a little screw, I don't know if you can see that down there, you put a screw in to secure it, and that stops the cell from coming out. They're really handy because you can move this around and build it up as you go. I don't know if you can see on the front here, 52 amp hours in terms of its rated capacity. It's got it's just under 4,000 watt hours of total capacity, but usable is 3,400. So, you know, that's how you get to 13.5, because there's 4 of them at 3.4. It's IP20, and it can do 0 to 50 degrees for charging and -10 to plus 50 degrees for discharging. So that's the temperature that the battery cells can operate in. Probably shouldn't show you that serial number. Right, so we're on the roof now, so this is the bit that most clients don't really see, but it is really interesting. It's about fitting the rails, laying the system out, sort of measuring it, making sure we get all our clearances, and in this instance, dealing with tricky tiles. These are rosemary tiles, so they're quite difficult to work with because they're quite brittle. There's probably 3 times as many tiles on the roof when compared to a traditional concrete tile, so you've got 3 times the risk of breaking a tile, and you can't just fit a normal system when you install them. They have to go on to these sort of pads. Now, the guys are just currently laying it out, and that's not fully in yet. They're still working through the system. Jonty, the roofer, is going to show us how these go in, because traditionally what you would do is simply push a tile up, put a hook in, screw it down, and your rail would bolt to it. But because these are so brittle, we can't afford any weight to sit on that tile. It'll crack it and cause problems. So these pads take all of the shock of the system out of the equation. So he's going to do that now. So what he's doing here is pushing the tiles up, and he's making space so we can access the rafter. And now what we've got to do is install this pad. So this pad comes in different sizes. The one we've bought for this job is the same size as these rosemary tiles, although actually they're all slightly different, so it makes it a bit more tricky. Anyway, he's pinning it down here. He's going to put the bracket in, and he's going to pull them tiles back over. Now, these are really shallow tiles, and usually if we've got enough material on the back of the tile, we'll shave away so that tile sits flush. But because these are so thin, if we shave them, they're going to crack. So what the guys are doing is just doing it on an ad hoc basis as they go around. Sometimes they sit really flush and we don't need to touch them. The ones that need a little bit of shaving, we'll take a tiny bit of material off the back and just get it sitting nice and flush. So once your hooks are in, you can then fit your rail. And this rail essentially just bolts in, and it's height adjustable. So we always want it as close to the bottom of the roof as we can. It just looks neater and it looks nicer. And obviously on a roof like this, where there is some play in this roof, we can adjust that rail to make sure we get a nice level array. There's nothing worse than an array that's sort of all over the place. The reason for the chalk marks, so if you can see them on the roof, is to lay out the systems. When we design systems at Heatable, we do that initial process remotely, and we use some software to lay out the array, and then we come and do a site survey. But sometimes on the day, things can also change. So today, the clients decided that we're going to go for 10 panels on this side and 8 on the other. The original design was 9 and 9. When we've got here, there's a Velux over that side, and just the way the system lays out, it's better for us to put 10 here and 8 on the other side. So the next thing we're going to do is start putting some panels on. But before we do that, I just wanted to show you this ACM. There's one, maybe you can see it, just down there hiding. This is a different solution than we normally fit. Let's go and find out some more. So this is our panel. So from the front, it looks like a standard solar panel. It's an REA 440 watt Fusion 2. So this section of the video, we got a little bit carried away. Well, I did, talking about the ACM, and when we watched the footage back, we sort of realized it's probably a video in itself because it was a bit boring. But if you're interested, there's going to be a link on screen giving you the full breakdown of that product. What I'm going to do here now is just give you the highlights. So ACM. It's an AC module, which means it's a solar panel with a microinverter, but it's bonded together at factory and it's endorsed by Enphase. So it's our Fusion 2 REA panel, it's 440 watt, it's bifacial, and it's the IQ8HC special edition ACM version, and it's also a HJT cell. All gets a bit complex. What I'd recommend is watch the video about that product review. Let's get back to this install now.
So now I'm gonna make a fuss. You see me now. You see me now. You see me now.
So these are some ACMs that are getting installed at this property today, but I just wanted to show you something. It's quite a cool feature. So as you can see, all these panels here are all stacked against each other. And what you wouldn't want is your microinverter to cause any problems with the actual panel itself, because you wouldn't want it to sort of lean against the panel and crack it. Enphase and REA have gracefully thought about all that. Here's our IQ8HC ACM. This is our Enphase cradle that's been fixed to the panel. And as you can see from factory, it's nice and flush. It just about protrudes the actual frame of the panel, not by much, so it shouldn't cause any problems. But on this side of the panel here, you've got the AC connector. So this is the Enphase Q cable that clicks onto the microinverter, and it's blocked at the moment by this. And then what we didn't know was all you got to do is pull this out. That's now fixed. You can hold the whole panel from that. You can now access the AC branch of the cable, and you've transported your panel without any breakages. Very ingenious. Because it went on the top of the rail. Oh, it's really comfy here. Yeah.
We are currently installing the battery and solar feeds for the system, coming from the Give gateway to battery and the solar DB location. So to start with, we mark out the entry holes in the back of the Give, locate that on the wall, and then we stitch drill the brick to get our access into the back, just to make it nice and neat so you don't have big bulky copex coming from meter box. And then we fish our 25mm tails that we take down to our meter, and then these are our battery and our solar feeds, which will give us power to the rest of the system. As you can see, we have labelled these up load, so we've got a neutral load and a live load, and we've got a neutral supply and a live supply. And how that works, we've got our grid breaker, our bypass, and our load breaker. So when these are all in situ, then they will be running through the battery. If there was ever full power loss, then the battery would pick up all the feed to the house, anything up to 5 kilowatts. So you can run anything from 5 kilowatts, including a full power outage.
So earlier on, we were talking about those HJT cells, that heterojunction, and about how it works really well in low light conditions. Well, a benefit of the ACM is that there's a light. Once this ACM has power, it's powered by this panel, and that's the activation light to say it's looking for the Envoy. We've just closed the door on the van. It's pretty dark in here, And this panel is producing power, which is amazing given the condition it's in. So when REA say low light, they really mean low light. So Jack's just been talking you through the gateway and about how it can take your home off grid. If the grid supply failed, then the gateway recognises that and it takes power from the battery to run the home. But when you have a grid supply in the UK, you'll generally rely on that grid supply for your earthing arrangements as well. So obviously, if you've disconnected from the grid, you've also disconnected from your earth, and that's why we put one of these in. So this is an earth spike or an earth stake. So what the guys will do is knock this into the ground. This will be about, I don't know, a metre long. They'll test it to make sure it's got a suitable reading and it's giving the right indication that it's going to give a good earth. And then they'll cap this off and bury it. So you won't see this green box. There'll just be a little cap on top of here. And in a grid event, when you disconnect from the grid, you've got this to provide you an earth for your appliances should any of them fault. So we were just showing you the roof system as it's a little bit different because it's rosemary tiles and it had these pads. So we thought we'd show you down here because this is like a little lean-to thing outside, but it's got the same roof tiles on. So this is the actual pad here. So it's just literally a rubber mat called a hook rest. It's got 2 pins in here so you can nail it into the rafter. And essentially what you would do is take out that tile. As you can see, it's pretty much the same size. So that sits in there. And all it does is protect these tiles below so that hook isn't sat directly on the tile. Because they're so thin, there's quite a bit of flex in solar, it would break and crack the tiles, which is why you use these. Right, so this is the haunted gateway has been installed onto the wall. So this gateway is the component effectively that takes you off grid. And what the guys have been able to do here, which is pretty neat, is on the back of here is the consumer unit. So they've been able to fish through the cavity, take a brick out to get the cables rear entryed on this. So they're not going to use any of these bottom glands, which means you don't have cables coming out the bottom. It just looks a bit neater. You can't do it every time, but it's worked in this instance. So essentially now you've got the incoming supply from the grid coming into the gateway via the back. It then goes to the fuse, goes via the gateway to the fuse board, and that's what powers the house. If the house power dropped, the battery would kick in and it'd run the property. What we've decided to do on this job, the customers asked for the GivEnergy EV charger, and there's actually a space for that on the GivEnergy gateway. So you can wire it straight into here, which means that you can control the car charger like you wouldn't normally be able to, i.e. you can stop the battery in the home, the GivEnergy All-in-One, being transferred into the EV. You can prevent it from doing that only with the EV charger from GivEnergy, and if you wire it in this gateway here. This box is IP rated, obviously it lives outside. You push it, it's got a little gasket, and that is your key to lock it off. So once it's locked off, the gasket is sealed, it can get wet, it's not going to short out or cause any problems. Just like that, the battery is in and on the wall. The case is on now. I was going to open it up, but I can't bother undoing it. But just to give you an idea about how this is wired up, so you've got this 6mm power supply. This is coming from the gateway. So that goes all the way up and goes over. We've also got a little data cable as well. So you need to link the communications between the gateway and the all-in-one, and you do that just via a data cable. You just punch it and terminate it like you would any other data cable. And obviously you need a point of isolation, so this here is the AC isolator. So this will isolate the battery for maintenance, or if you need to turn it off for whatever reason, you can isolate it here. And the last thing that you need to get your GivEnergy All-in-One to work is Wi-Fi connectivity for the commissioning, and so it can communicate to your devices, and you do that by this little aerial here, which is magnetic, and you can put it there, or you can put it there, or you can put it there, or there. Not there, there. Does that? End of day one. So this is a 2-day install, or a day and a half. Let's take you through what's been done so far and what's left to do tomorrow, making sure I'm not going to trip up. Right, roof. Like we said before, it's a dual array. So on this side, all the hooks are on, all the rails are on, and 2 of the REA Fusion 2 ACMs have been installed. On this side, we've got hooks, we've got rails, but we've not got any panels. We need to finish off installing the panels tomorrow, and we need to take you through that process. We've also got some guests coming down to do a review of the ACM, which you'll find out more on tomorrow. Electrical wise, down at base level, The GivEnergy gateway, that's all in, that's wired up, ready to go. The power supply to the battery is in. The power line from the PV into that sub-mains is in. We've got the battery installed on the wall. We've got the earth stake in the ground, but not earthed yet. So we've got some finishing off to do electrically. We're also going to have to then commission the system. So commissioning the GivEnergy all-in-one will be fun. It'll either go really well or it'll be a total pain in the bum. So we'll probably start that early. Enphase is always super simple. That'll take about 20 minutes. And then we've got a GivEnergy charger. So like we said before, we're going to install this charger on this job here. I have not actually been on site where we've installed one of these before, so it'll be a first time for me. We might try and fit a mini sort of review on it as well. We'll do that. Have I got a bug on me? Did I?
Yes, you do.
Anyway, so we'll finish that tomorrow, do a mini review, and then we'll crack on from there. So, see you in a bit. So it's day 2, we're back on site and we're being joined today by the fully charged show Genesis, bit of a giveaway there. Now what we're going to be doing today is getting those panels on, we're going to be finishing off the wiring, get the system commissioned, and we're also doing some work with Fully Charged about this ACM panel and sharing the good word about this product. So let's head over there now and we'll get cracking.
Riveting.
So what are you up to?
Take 3.
I've lost composure. We are connecting a GivEnergy 7.2 kilowatt EV charger to utilise the trickle charge from the solar due to having the GivEnergy gateway and all-in-one.
And what's your favourite cable?
There we go. If I say Doncaster, do I get paid? I'm gonna go with Doncaster's Ultra EV. I love them ones. Flashing for the roof.
But rather than just smashing a tile out, we actually cut it all in, so all I've done there is filing, cut into that tile there, and then you just have to build around it. And then the flashing don't look out of place as such. Some people would just leave a tile out altogether, but I'd rather get it in like that.
So sit rep, sub-mains for the PV is pretty much done. It's not actually a sub-mains, it's like a mini consumer unit, got that wrong. Anyway, this is the Envoy. So if you have Enphase microinverters, obviously these are the ACMs, they still need to communicate to a central point. And with Enphase, it's called the Enphase Envoy. Now we've got it in this box here, so we try and always put these in a clear box, just because there's some indication lights on there. The app's going to tell you if you've got a fault, but it's just sometimes easier to have a clear box. So that sits in there. And then if you look here, these are our 2 arrays coming off the roof. So this is an AC cable, not DC, because obviously we've already converted it on the roof from DC to AC. So these are going to come down, and then leaving the bottom here is the power feed to the gateway, so we can measure that PV production. So we've combined them within this mini consumer unit, and then it's going to go off to the gateway. So that's all clipped up, that's ready to go. Batteries in. We ran the cables for the battery in the end high level, so if you can sort of get up there, you can see that going across with the data, and that comes all the way down here and round. And then because this garage has an apex, we've run the 2 PV feeds, if you can see up there. So they go all the way up that rafter, across, and they just pop in at the very top of that apex up there. So they're nice and neat and out of the way. Right, so commissioning time, and we're starting with the GivEnergy. So you've got 2 products to commission on this all-in-one, because you've got the gateway and we've also got the battery. Now we've connected both of those products to the client's Wi-Fi, and the first thing that GivEnergy generally wants to do is update you to the latest firmware. That can be frustrating because this is where it goes wrong for GivEnergy usually, and it has in this case. I don't know if you can see, but the gateway has been updated, that's great, but the actual battery itself has been stuck on 0% for about 15 minutes. So what we're going to do now is abandon this, delete it and reconnect it. If we can't get it to go, it's going to be a phone call to Give support, which just takes an hour out of our day and it's frustrating. Enphase is always super simple. So as soon as those panels are finished, we can start to build that array and commission Enphase. Like I said, we never really have any problems with that. So we're going to get this sorted now. But once that's sorted, we'll have the battery on and then we'll be able to commission this Enphase system. Okay, so end of the day, we ran into a little bit of trouble with that GivEnergy. It took about 2 hours to get commissioned, and then we spent about another hour getting this array level. So this roof sort of gives and pulls in various different places. So we've had a lot of adjustment to get the array lying flat, but we've got there in the end. It's just something to bear in mind when you're having solar installed. Every now and again, you run into a little complication. We can always overcome it. It just might take a little bit of extra time. So let's go and check out that battery. Okay, so battery is on and working. The app is live. We finally got there in the end with the commissioning. So the client's over the moon with this, and it's sort of nice and tucked out the way, but I think it's a really good looking battery. If you move around here, Envoy is on. We've got 4 green lights and we're producing energy. Our mini distribution board is all up and powered, ready to go. Round here, we've got our GivEnergy charger, and again, that's all lit up, commissioned, and that's working in the customer's app. If you come round here, this is our gateway, so the gateway is on. Everything's been tested, everything's working perfectly, so that's really, really good. Our earth has been tested, and that's all ready to start producing energy. So that is a wrap of what has been a very busy day. Obviously, we've had the fully charged guys here all day. We've been doing filming with them. We've been documenting the install, and we had those little challenges to work through. Now, if you're in the market for a solar system and you'd be interested in having a system like this with these ACMs installed in your property, then head over to the Heatable website. Or if you want to find more about Enphase microinverters, then we have got a video on the channel going through the entire range, giving you all the facts and figures so you can make an informed choice. And if you're not subscribed to this channel, then please do so, because it helps us produce more content like this.